Hello and welcome to Soul Love with Kimness. I am Kim van der Zande, your host, and I'm super excited to share another episode of Soul Love with you, where we share inspirational and empowering stories from the heart. We talk about the beauty and the shadows as both are part of the ascension journey, to remind you that you are powerful, you are magical, and to have trust in what you feel to be true deep within. Enjoy this next episode of Soul Love. Before we start the next Soul Love conversation, I want to invite you to check out my amazing book, Activating the Flower of Love, a sacred guide for manifesting your deepest desires and highest calling. This sacred book, filled with powerful tools and activations, will guide you to open your heart to the beauty and wisdom within you, empowering you to create the life you deeply desire from the foundation of love. You can find Activating the Flower of Love in all the major online and offline bookstores in ebook or paperback, or you can check it out through my website, kimness.nl, where you can also discover the different ways of working with me and the latest updates on new starting programs. Enjoy this next episode of Soul Love. Welcome everyone to a new episode of Soul Love, and today I'm very excited and honored to share a sacred conversation with Marla Torres, and I welcome you within this sacred space.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here with you.
Yeah, me too. We are co-creating on Spirit Sessions Review of the Light a couple of times a year, and you can see it on Sundays on the Facebook, and I will share the links below. But it's really amazing to also now share a conversation with you and to share this space, because you've been on quite a journey, and quite a journey I love as you share in your bio as well, with all that you've experienced to rise above. And maybe you can share a little bit about what sparked you to be on this journey where you are now and inspiring others and helping them.
Sure. So, what really was the catalyst for the major changes that I've made was after my daughter was born.
Mm.
So, I was in a marriage that was not healthy. Um, my ex-husband was yeah, it just wasn't healthy. We won't add energy to that.
Wow.
And after my daughter was born, I was like experiencing still what I thought at first was just postpartum, normal postpartum. And after like 18 months, I'm like, I'm still having these symptoms. I don't think it's normal postpartum. So let me get checked out. And so I went to an endocrinologist who told me that I had Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is an autoimmune disease, and pretty much that you're going to expect to be like this for the rest of your life. And um, I just had a really hard time with that because I was in my 30s and I'm like, I have a young child that I want to enjoy life with, not just being on the couch, barely being able to take care of her and barely being able to go to work. I'm like, I want to be thriving.
Yeah.
So I continued to dig deeper. I just didn't accept that. I was like, no, sorry,
Yeah.
without no disrespect. And so then I started on a journey to find another endocrinologist who also didn't hear me. So that I'm like, okay, maybe this traditional Western medicine route is not the route for me. So
Mhm.
I started going deeper and found a functional medicine doctor. And I was talking to her, and she was like, yeah, you can heal from this. And I was just like,
Yeah.
finally somebody hears me, and like, yes. So we started working together, and then she moved out of state and I was no longer able to work with her. She just didn't do long distance stuff. And so I started looking for more quote unquote alternative practitioners, and I worked with a homeopathic doctor for a little while.
Mhm.
And she introduced me to Louise Hay, and that was just mind opening for me. Like I I have a background. Worked in critical care nursing for over 14 years, and so like I've been just steeped in that environment. And so being shown how our bodies are responding to emotional things was just so eye-opening for me. And I was just like, okay, like that gave me some food for thought. And then things just weren't progressing with her. And so I started looking for somebody else, and I found a naturopathic doctor. And I was working with him, and he was like, I can prescribe you, different tests, different supplements, different, all these different things. He's like, but until you really like do the inner work, it's like pouring water into a bucket with holes. And that for me was like a huge wake up call because I was very much in lack mindset at that time, like very much. And for me, like hearing that, I was like, oh no, like I'm wasting all this money, like that I already felt like I didn't have enough of, And so it was like a bit of fear. And I still kind of, even though that was like, whoa, wake up, I still kind of put that to the side. I was like, well, let me just try all this other stuff first. And then he's like, well, I really recommend that you see this woman that's in the same office building as where he was. She's a shamanic Reiki master practitioner and a licensed social worker. And I put it off for a little while. And then he kept asking me, did you see Melanie? I'm like, no. And so finally made a session, made an appointment, had a session with her and started on this radical journey of healing,
Yeah.
really going deeper, really diving into different modalities, like being exposed to like once I experienced Reiki and then she invited me, let me know she was having a class for Reiki level 1, attunement for shamanic Reiki. And I, it was just like, yes, I just knew intuitively, yes. And once I got there and was participating, I felt at home. Like, I'm like, I know this. Like, I know this on on a deeper level. I know this from another lifetime. Like,
Yeah.
this is all, it was like coming home to myself. And so went further, did level 2, did the master practitioner, and started really seeing things start to shift. The more I started going deeper into, okay, this is not just physical symptoms that we need to take a pill for,
Mhm.
like that's what we've been programmed with Western medicine. And it's like, it goes much deeper than that. And for me, like really stepping into my sovereignty, really understanding that, uh, you know, it was time to step out of the victim mentality because I
Mhm.
was really comfortable in that victim mentality
Yeah.
for a while
Yeah.
too. Like, look what happened to me. And then I started realizing, wait a second, like I was a co-creator in that.
Mhm.
And also when I could shift my viewpoint from, oh, woe is me, like, oh, it was just horrible, to that was a catalyst for my growth.
Yes.
And so now, like, I can look at my ex-husband and say, thank you. Thank you for being a catalyst for my growth. I
Mhm.
am grateful for all of those experiences because without them, I would not be where I am now. And right now, my life is freaking incredible.
Yes, it
And
is.
so like just being able to see like over the past, so my she's gonna be 12. And so over the past like almost 11 years, the amount of growth and changes and diving deeper and for me more recently like learning about Germanic new medicine and really even stepping more and more into my power and into my sovereignty
Mhm.
and realizing that all these things that happen, like our body remembers all of that. Our body keeps the score.
Yeah.
There's a book about that too. Like knowing that our body's keeping track of all these things, and if they get stored in our body, these traumas, they need to be able to be released and to be able to be healed. Otherwise, you will end up with disease, and it's no fun.
No,
It
no, it's
sucks.
not. No.
But being able to like become empowered, and for
Mhm.
me, like that's what I want to help. That's like my goal to help others be able to find their power and their regain their sovereignty, like reclaim their sovereignty, because we all are sovereign beings. And when you can claim that and realize, like, I don't pass judgment on anyone that's still like comfortable in the victim mentality, but to encourage them that you have the power to go beyond that too. You have the power to use what might look to be a horrible
Mhm.
situation. You have the power to use that to grow and to expand and to watch your life just transform in ways that you would have like never even dreamed of. Like to me, like there's limitless potential.
Yeah.
And like I just want to be your biggest cheerleader, like
It's
be
I
your
love
biggest
that.
fan and
Yes.
just help people on that journey, and specifically women and specifically other mothers, like because I have walked that path, because I have gone through, journeys similar to what many others are going through, just to give
Mm.
hope and let them know they're not alone. Because I felt alone. I did during in the middle of it. I felt very alone, and also like we're there's a saying, it's like you're sick as your darkest secrets, and so like keeping things like hidden, like that was one thing too. Like my ex was very big on like, no, no, don't tell anybody. Nobody needs to know. Like it's nobody else's business.
Yeah.
But then you stay sick and you
Mm.
stay in that cycle. When you can shed light on it and expose it for what it is, then you have the opportunity to grow and heal from it, and it's just it's so empowering.
It is,
I
yes,
love
but
it. I get so fired up about it.
I love that. But we have quite a, well, in a way, a similar story. So I love, but it gives hope to let, like, I also was very sick when my girls were very young. And but to know that we can transform that, to know that we can shift that. But and what I loved in your story as well, because it shows like you at one point also asking, okay, but I want to try the medicine. Because sometimes what really will help us to heal is also the most difficult thing, because then we're suddenly being invited to feel parts of ourselves we've been denying for years, sometimes even lifetimes. We're being invited to dive into the dark spots of our being or our shadows, or but when you do that, then things start to shift and you don't no longer like dim your light and your life force energy, and it needs to flow. We don't like, it's denying a part of ourselves that is part of us, whether we accept it or not. It's part of the totality of who we are. So why, like, it's loving every part of who we, and in that we reclaim also our health again. Because for me, that was also, when I now look back, like, it's seeing how these things awaken. Also, that's what I love in your story. Like, it was a huge wake up call. It was these parts that we pushed away that at one point said, okay, now it's enough. Now you need to sit and listen, and now something needs to change. You need to see me again. And sometimes it's understanding how our body holds so much wisdom, holds so much, but also sadness and pain and all of the traumatic experiences. And if we don't communicate with them and express them, then they keep on giving messages and keep on, in a way, interfering or creating this disease or creating this disbalance in our system. But it's just a messenger. And I love like how
Yeah.
things unfold, and it's following your sacred yeses, because I love in your story as well, from being a nurse to now having all these beautiful extra tools to help you in that. There's so much more than our physical body. There's so much this awakening of the potential that is, but we need to be willing to be curious. We need to be willing to be open. Like you said, okay, I feel I need to go to this, but I don't know how, I don't know why, or and then discovering that it has so much more to share. So it's really amazing. And what do you notice, like what has really helped you to step into this? Because now you're guiding others, but what has really helped you to step into this space or to really reclaim that power of, okay.
I think that, like the coming back home to myself and just really feeling that empowerment for myself. Um, like, because I've never been a quitter. I've always been, my family might call me stubborn. Like, when I feel something innately inside of me that I know I need to do, I have to do it. Otherwise, I'm not comfortable. Like
Yes.
there's just that inner guiding and it just gets stronger and stronger. And I think for me, it was just, I was being guided intuitively. Like, my team was guiding me, like showing me, like, now is the time. Like, you're just gonna get sicker and sicker until you listen. And so sometimes, I mean, I'm human, so sometimes it takes a few lessons of like, okay, listen, Marla, listen, listen, listen. But I feel like I'm getting better. I'm getting better at listening now. And so like just feeling that inner guidance and knowing, okay, once at least for me, like I just have that, like that knowing, like this is what I need to do. This is what's right for me. Now it's time for me to share my story. Now it's time for me to help others, to be
Mhm.
that light, not to stand in the shadows, not to silence my voice anymore. Because that's one thing too with the thyroid, with the Hashimoto's, all that stuff. Like you go back to the throat chakra and then you start to look even at I can look way back to when I was a child of being in silence. Like, I was a female in a very strict religion where it was male dominated, and then just being like, Shh, Marla, oh, Marla. And it's like, no, now I can like step into my power again and know that I can speak my truth in love. I can speak my truth and it's safe to do so. Yes, there
Mhm.
may be some situations where it's still not safe, but just having that discernment to know also, and just really, really just tuning in and relying on that inner guidance and knowing sources guiding me and that I have like this supportive team
Yeah.
in the otherworldly realms that are helping me with this too. It's like it's just it's hard to put into
Yes.
words,
No,
but
but
it's
it's
just so like I just feel it
yeah.
so strongly inside of me. And I just know that I'm supposed to share my story. I just know that
Yeah.
that's part of my purpose in this lifetime is to help others to find their light, to find their inner sovereignty and power and stand in their power too. And to know it's possible, like I think oftentimes, it's easy to get caught up in whatever diagnosis that, doctors try to give us. And yes, some people claim it and say, I have XYZ. I just encourage you not to claim it. Like I didn't claim it. I said, no, they tried to give me this diagnosis.
Yes.
I was like, no,
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 exactly.
thank you.
Yes.
But I think that's really
Yeah.
important because our words and our thoughts matter tremendously. Like if we can even just start there, taking the small steps of like, no, they're trying to tell me that I have this, but I don't want to, like, I don't want it. So I'm not going to claim it. That's not mine. And start working on changing your thought patterns too. And it's possible. Sometimes it feels really daunting. I know. It can feel very daunting and very easy to slip back into old habits, but surrounding yourself with people that will um, cheer you on, that are supporting you, that are showing you that it's possible you can do this
Mhm.
is so important. And I think, yes, sometimes medicine is needed, but
Yes.
I know that also sometimes you can wean yourself off of it. Like
Yes.
I worked with a naturopathic doctor and I'm no longer on any pharmaceuticals for the thyroid anymore. Like I've healed so much and like night and day difference of where I was, and so just knowing too and like offering yourself grace that sometimes yeah you might need a little bit pharmaceuticals to get you through this point, this healing point, but knowing that um again, it can come back to not putting the trust or the power in something outside of yourself. Because ultimately, coming back home to yourself, coming back home to knowing that you are your healer.
Mhm.
Like, I don't heal you. Nobody else is going to heal
No.
you. You choose. You're the one that's healing yourself and connecting with Source and realizing that all that you need is within you. And with that connection with Source, that you have, like, you're unstoppable.
It
Plain
is.
and simple, you're unstoppable and you can do anything that you set your mind to that's for your highest and greatest good. Obviously, you want to you
Yeah.
want to
Yeah.
preface that too. I would highly encourage everyone, when you're asking and manifesting these things, this or something greater, whatever's for my highest and greatest good, but knowing that it is possible, that true health and wellness is for your highest and greatest good. Like that is how we were designed to be
Mhm.
living in harmony and harmony with nature and harmony with ourselves and with source. And
Yes.
yeah, it's just so incredible.
But it starts with staying true to yourself, true to
Yes.
your expression, true to what your body, your emotions feel. And I know in this world, like sometimes we are tired and then but we have so much to do. And then it's like, okay, what do you choose? But it's time to really honor then the message or the invitation of our bodies instead of saying, okay, but this to-do list and I like, because that by that we're walking away from ourselves. We're creating a disbalance. And at one point that will come back. Like, and it's really honoring in all its facets, our messages, our body, our emotions, our inner guidance, our and not only the ones that feel yummy, not only the ones that feel comfortable or are in alignment with our
Right.
schedule, or because by that
Yep.
we walk away from ourselves and we are denying the basic needs that because if you also look back like in ancient times or life in a way was more basic, was more there's so much things that come to us, there's so much things that influence us that we think we need to do, but in that we're again losing ourselves. So it's constantly the invitation, stay true to yourself, and in that because your body truly, when you hear these healing stories where people in seconds heal their body when they come in alignment, but it is when they're home to their cells in connection with God, source, infinite oneness, whatever it's your name. But in this deep alignment, things start to shift and things start to, but again, that's honoring our truth, honoring our authenticity, our light, our calling, our and most of the time it is stretchy, and sometimes we also need to
Yes.
learn a pattern still. So it's also being compassionate with the part of us that keeps repeating certain
Yes.
things. But at one point
Yes.
you will feel, I am done with this, and then you're ready to make the shifts. And those are sometimes because I think society keeps a vision of how our life needs to be, and we
Yeah.
try to live to that, but in that we're losing ourselves. And now we're coming back to, okay, but what do I truly desire? What do I truly find important? What does my body, what is my natural rhythm, and not the rhythm of just the train that keeps going. And but that is being
Exactly.
brave enough to be different, and to be
Yes.
really your own, to this is your guiding vessel. What is it sharing, and do you truly honor then again its messages? And it's so yeah, I really love what you share, because it's so like sometimes we feel, I think also when you're on this spiritual path, all the beautiful things you did, like people feel that as something, okay, that is too woo woo or too, but in a way it's coming back to your most natural being. It's coming back to your body, to the
Yes.
emotions you have, and the, like there's nothing woo woo in that. It's coming back to you being
Exactly.
just honoring. Yeah. So I love, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, it's huge, and it definitely, like you said, it does. It takes courage and, bravery to be different, to say, like, no, I'm not going to follow the societal
Wow.
norms, like it's normal in our society to go to the doctor for every little thing and get a pill for every little thing, and then the symptoms that come and a pill for that and all the things. That's the norm now. So yeah, it does take courage to be different and say, like, no, I'm gonna like look at my body and tune into my body and see, like, okay, what was happening that could have triggered this, like on an emotional level, or,
Yeah.
like, so stopping to look, psyche brain body connection, like it takes courage. And I applaud everyone that's taking those steps to do it, because
Yeah.
it does take courage. But you have that power. We all have that power to do that. And the more of us, I think, that do that, that are courageous and make the change and come back home to ourselves, we're shining lights for others. And then, like, the light just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And we're raising the vibration of consciousness of the collective, by coming back home to ourselves, by coming back to our true self.
Hmm.
Um, we're helping others heal too. So, because we're all connected,
It
we're
is.
all one. We all have, this energetic connection, that, we're not separate, because that's also what society is telling us, that we're separate and different and you need to be on this side or that side. And
Yes.
it's like, no, you don't have to.
No.
You don't
No.
have to. Coming back again to the love, like
Mm.
that's one huge theme for you in your podcast and in your books and everything too. Like, and it's so true. Like, I resonate with that so strongly. Like, coming back to love. And if you can just start with yourself, loving yourself. Sometimes that's the biggest hurdle, I think. Like, coming back and, like, who, for me, it was like, who's Marla? Like,
Hmm.
who am I? I lost myself along the way. And so now I've gotten this beautiful gift to find myself again, and, like, getting to know who Marla is, and I love her. And being able then to, once I can show love to myself, then I can extend it to others. Then I can extend it to, my daughter and to my friends and to strangers.
Hmm.
And, and it's like, that's I think that's really where your power lies, right? And being able to come back with love, come back to that, and that's not saying there's not darkness in the world or evil in
Hmm.
the world or any of that. That's not to bypass any of that, because that's, the reality. We know we have the yin and yang and the polarities, but love wins. I
Yeah.
mean, ultimately, and when you can come back with that love and that compassion for yourself and work on that healing, the nothing, no growth happens when you stay inside your little comfort zone box. You have to, like, break out of that box, break out of that comfort zone. And, it doesn't have to be like this huge, undertaking at first. It can just be a little step here. Even just, start with affirmations
Yeah.
every morning, look in the mirror, like, just find what feels good to you and start doing it, and then make it a habit, and then you just slowly expand it, and you just do bigger and bigger things, and the next time, like, you could be doing something major and people are like,
Really.
wow,
Yeah.
yay,
Yes.
bravo you.
Yes.
So it's just, I think it's really powerful. And again, just
Yeah.
who you surround yourself with, right? What you're listening to, it makes a huge difference because like we are all one and our vibrations then, who we hang around with, our vibrations start to match each other. So if we're hanging around with high vibe people, listening to high vibe, stuff, whether it's, podcasts or
Yeah.
music or, what we're reading, it makes a huge difference. And then us being able to maintain our higher vibration. And that's where, with love and gratitude and being up in those higher vibration emotions,
Mm.
like that's where healing can happen. Like I saw that even true for myself. Like I started, I lost track now of how many years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I started a gratitude group because I started reading Pam Grout's Think and Grow Rich. And one of her experiments was to find three things every day for
Mm.
30 days, something new, something different. You're not going to stay the same, like, oh, my bed, my home, my whatever.
Yeah.
You're going to like really start to look and see what you're thankful for every day. And that was life changing for me. I really do believe that was the one of the biggest shifts was when I was able to shift into gratitude, find the things in my life that I was grateful for.
Yeah.
That's when I started noticing other things shifting for me too. That's when it was easier because it's not
Yes.
always easy, to do the healing, but that's when it was easier. It was like the gateway drug.
Yeah, but
Yeah, it
but
was like,
it is a
here,
bridge
here, this is
or
the way to get into this, like
yes.
shifting into that gratitude because I promise you, there is always something to be grateful for.
Yeah.
Always. Like you can be having the worst day of your life, but you're still alive. Like you can always find three things to be grateful for. And if you're still feeling a little, I love to recommend doing a gratitude rampage. Start at your front door, walk through your entire living space. Every single thing your eyes
Mm.
lay sight on, offer thanks for it. Feel that gratitude within you. I promise you, you will feel completely changed by the end of that experiment
It is.
because it's like a high. Like I don't do drugs. I've never done drugs to get high, so I don't know what that feels like, but I know what this energetic high feels like,
Yeah.
and it is freaking incredible.
Yes.
And it's such a good way to just like get you out of the funk, just help reboot. Like, yeah, I love it. It's
It is.
so invigorating.
Me too. But even if you would say, like, if you're tuning into this right now, you would say thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you within yourself. You already feel that the energy rises and that you don't, yeah. But I love that because,
Yep.
but it's a conscious choice. And that's with everything
Yes.
healing as well. It is when a limiting pattern comes up or a challenging experience or a trigger. Again, we have a conscious choice. Do I see myself as the victim or as like limitless, like there's nothing to be done or it is the fault of the other? Or do I choose to go within? Because that is the true empowerment when we're choosing to go within and to see, okay, what is the message? What can I be grateful for? What can I shift in my energy? Because also with all that is happening in the world, like it's still choosing, okay, what do I contribute? Even though I physically maybe in this now moment can't change in what is happening, I still can choose to contribute love or to contribute gratitude or and that is the empowerment we need to take. That is the knowing, okay, this is what I can do in this now moment. And that is with everything. And in that things start to shift. So choose gratitude because it's a beautiful bridge to love and really magical things happen. So I love we already had one soul sharing like 5 minutes sharing gratitude things, but I love as well stepping into your door and saying, okay, because there are so many things that we take for granted. Also, when you've been sick, like, okay, just waking up and having energy to go through your day. Amazing. But we take that for granted when we're just going through motions and it's really honoring, yeah, the sacredness of life and everything that surrounds us. And yeah, so I think that's really,
Yeah.
really amazing.
Yeah, it's huge because like you said, it is a conscious choice. And if,
Yes.
it's very easy to get caught up in the fear paradigm,
Yeah.
and then think that you can have no control over it and just get caught in that spiral. But when you make that conscious choice to be like, no, I'm going to be in love, I'm going to be in gratitude, I'm going to send love and gratitude, those energies to those that are affected by XYZ, you shift things for them. You shift
Mhm.
things for you. Like it's incredible. I mean, I'll just throw an example like the hurricane that was, supposed to be category 5 coming right at Florida. Like there were so many of us, thousands, if not more than thousands. I'm sure there was probably more than thousands of coming together with love, with calmness, with seeing coherence and calmness. It was not a category 5 that hit Florida. it was significantly less, and there was like the
Mm.
damage was minimal compared to what they were saying was going to happen. So we have the power, like we can buy into that fear. Like we could have all bought into that fear, and it could have been a category 5, and it could have been, like
Yeah.
catastrophic. But we do, like, for me, that was such a powerful experiment to participate in, because like I knew it on an intellectual level, but then
Mhm.
joining in again and seeing and like, no, we have the power to buy into love, to buy into peace, to choose that, like to make that intentional choice to say, no, thank you to the fear. Fear has its place. Yes, sometimes if you're running from a lion, you want to be afraid. But for the most part, that whole fear paradigm is very powerful and very seductive. But if we can just come back to like, no, I'm going to live with intention. I'm going to choose this. And I'm not, again, not bypassing anything because I know things are very real out there in the world, but just choosing where we focus our energy on is huge. It is huge. Like I
Yeah.
can't stress it enough. It's like we get to choose every day, and like, you know, even if you can choose to get outside in nature for 5 minutes. Like I was feeling that this morning of like all the busyness of the day, like before jumping on the call with you, and then we're gonna be traveling and all these things. And it's like, no, I was feeling my call, go outside, go outside, go outside. So I just like took my coffee, went
Yeah.
outside barefoot, walked in the grass, listen to the birds, listen to the squirrels chittering, like
Yeah.
just was in nature, sat with one of the tree beans on the property, and I felt my morning shift out of that, like, oh, gotta rush, 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 get all this done. And it's like, no, no, come back home to you, come back home to nature, ground yourself, come back to gratitude. And I was literally like, had just tears of gratitude standing outside again, just feeling the sun on my face, feeling the cool air from being autumn here in the States, and just like, oh, okay, like this is, we have to, not have to, I would invite you to live with intention because that's where things really do shift because you do have the power. We have the power every single moment to like choose like, no, I'm not going to get caught up in the rat race and the hurriness and the, feeling like I got to get all this done. No, I'm going to choose to come home,
Yeah.
come back home.
And choose
Yeah.
love. Yeah, that's so important. And even in, because I know sometimes the conversations go about, okay, when you feel emotions or get triggered, like sometimes when you choose love, people say, okay, but then you bypass what is happening. But that's not true, because what is happening in this space is you acknowledge it for what it truly is. You acknowledge the energy
Yes.
with love. You don't
Yes.
dive into the story because you don't have to. That already happened. But you acknowledge the
Yes.
energy. You acknowledge the pain for a moment, and in that, the shift comes instead of starting to judge, because then you only give more energy to what is happening there. And so
Yes.
love is really not bypassing. Love is truth. It will show you like, okay, this is ready to be healed. That's what I notice as I embody more love. More of my deep parts come up because they finally feel safe enough. The walls crumble down with love, and finally I get to see my naked self, my pure self, my but that is our greatest gift and our greatest, like, also gift to the world, because in that we become the embodiment and the ripple effect of that in everything we do, whether we're going to the grocery store or in this whatever places we visit. And it's really truly honoring this sacredness and the alchemizing capacities we have within ourselves. But it starts with like sometimes we think that we need to do this 10-month course and then we know, but
Right.
in essence it's coming back to you. You don't have to learn more, do more. No, you have to unlearn, and you have to come back to, okay, just a moment, like you said, in nature, or just closing your eyes and placing your hands on your heart. What do you need, body? What do you want to share? Emotions? What is awakened within me, and how can I be loving and compassionate? Because our mind can be intense and our mind can be very judging, but then it's saying, okay, I acknowledge you, I love you, how can we shift? And that is again
Yeah.
choosing fear or love. It's not bypassing. It's truly coming back to, okay, this
Exactly.
is because you are love. So it is in a way, the fear is sometimes bypassing, or I don't know the
Right.
correct English word, but
Right.
it is creating a distraction. It's creating a disconnection from your true self. And it's really coming back to this alignment of who you are. And yeah.
Yeah.
So as we're almost coming to a place of completion, because I will share all of your amazing links and your bios below this video or audio, whatever way you're tuning in. But the last, like you have created beautiful to hold your space and like where you're diving into the last couple of months, maybe you want to share a little bit where your life journey has taken you.
So yeah, so the last few months, it really has been diving into it with the Germanic New Medicine and just learning more about the psyche brain body connection and really just coming more into my sovereignty. And also now, like and we're doing coursework for it to be a practitioner, and really just incorporating that into my sessions too, and helping people to be able to be the detectives that they need in their life to like find like, oh, okay, oh, that was the trigger. And then like looking and like, is that true anymore for you right now? Like you can heal things. For example, I healed from a gluten intolerance. Like I believed that from the moment they tried to give me the, Hashimoto's diagnosis, like they're like, and then you won't be able to tolerate gluten. And so then I wasn't able to tolerate gluten. I believed that. And I would get so sick with gluten. And then I was, as I'm diving into Germanic medicine, I was like, wait a second, is that true? Like, was that my truth or was that somebody else's truth that they told me and I accepted? And I was like, that was somebody else's truth. That
Mm.
wasn't my truth. And so I'm like, well, let me try it. Like, I started with sourdough bread, like I'm making my own sourdough
Yes.
bread. And I was fine. And then I started having other different food choices that had gluten in them, and I was fine. And I was like, okay,
Hmm.
I do have that power within me, and I can stop and look and say, like, okay, where did that story originate from?
Yes.
Is it still serving me, or was it mine really to hold on to? And just diving deeper into that. And so I'm
Mm.
really excited to be able to offer, these tools to help others find their way. And again, like it's not saying that you never take pharmaceuticals or whatever. Like, again, I just got to experience that for myself. And I had this huge healing portal that I went through for like 7 weeks. And I was guided and I took some steroids to help me get through that. Like, and that's what I needed to like get me off of that track that I was just on this vicious track. And it was not, I mean, I learned from it,
Yes.
but also like learning to offer myself grace. So there's some times where there is like the gray area and learning like that it's not all black or white. There's a lot of gray
Yeah.
and being able just to offer yourself grace and know, okay, this is my journey. This is what's best for me. And then offering grace to others too. Like that's their journey,
Yeah.
that they're choosing what's best for them and being a support again. Like I feel like I'm a little cheerleader in the on the sidelines, like, yes, you can do it, you can do it,
Yes. Yeah.
um so yeah, it's so fun to me because I get to see how empowered I'm becoming, even more and more empowered, how I'm watching others around me become empowered too,
Yeah.
and seeing it's just been so fun, like seeing women in my community. Like I have this beautiful community of sisters that I've called into my reality here in Tennessee, and like now having them be like, oh, hey, Marla, what's this in Germanic New Medicine? Or what's it you like, and
Yes.
seeing them like being willing to look, like being brave, like, oh, okay, like you did it. Okay, so like let's see, like I can do it too. I can look at my stuff and like, and dive deeper. And for me, like that's just so it just feels so fun and so
Yes.
exciting to see others just like growing and expanding too, and just like embracing this healing journey and stepping into their sovereignty. And um yeah, I just love it, and just supporting people that way. And then like I do tantric malas too that just like offer this extra layer of protective energy, and it's fun to work with them. And it's like all these, I just have this fun toolbox of
Yes. I love that.
energetic tools to play with. To me,
Wow.
it's just so much fun to be an alchemist and watch things unfold for people and for my life, and just seeing that ripple effect. And it's just, yeah, it just brings me so much joy.
I get it. Yeah. But there's so much more possible when we're willing to be in the energy of wonder and exploration and within and around and all the different things we have. So I love that you all shared that because it also showing the potency of our energy field and our thoughts and our beliefs and that we can shift them and in that we shift our lives and it is all within ourselves. And then yeah, it ripples out in beautiful ways. So thank you for sharing your light, for sharing your story. If there was one last short inspiration or something you would like to share with everyone, what would it be?
It just comes back to like you've got the power,
Yeah.
just to trust that, to trust yourself, trust your intuition, because you do have the power within you.
Yeah.
You've got this.
You've got this. Yes, you've got this. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
And it's truly about, yeah, honor yourself, come home to yourself. And in that, the power and the wisdom, everything awakens and you will be guided in beautiful ways. So I think, thank you. I want to thank everyone tuning in. Please follow, like, share, whatever way resonates with you, but it really helps to spread the codes of these beautiful, empowering stories. So I want to thank you for joining us and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next Soul Love podcast. So for now, much love. Bye. Thank you for joining this episode of Soul Love. If you want to find out more about what we do, you can find it below. And I'll see you in the next episode. Much love.